Welcome back to the i.e.427 garage, everybody. We have the Mk4 King Cobra in the shop, and we're going to be working on installing a drop trunk box in the car probably over the next couple of evenings. So it'll be one episode, one video for you guys, but it'll be a couple of nights for me because it's hot and I'm kind of taking it easy. Do have the air conditioning on in here, but boy, running that AC for extended lengths of time really can screw with your electric bill. So I'm gonna go ahead and start working on this thing. All right, so as you can see, this already has the trunk floor installed in it. The family that had been working on this car got it to this point. They want us to complete the car for them, and so this was kind of one of those things that we talked about when the car arrived here, and the owner said, go ahead and do that for the extra space in the trunk. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and it'll give you guys a kind of a tutorial if you want to install one of our trunk boxes. Now, I haven't even made up the trunk box yet. It is actually sitting right there. So those are the 3 blank pieces that make up the trunk box. So I haven't even put them in the brake and bent them and notched them and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be doing that while we're installing it as well. But I've already started drilling out the pop rivets so that we can go ahead and get this lower panel out. Now, we are going to have to take the gas tank strap on the passenger side loose. This little filler plate is going to have to come out right here. And while we have everything out, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut off this tab for the 9495 gas tank because we're not using it, and then that'll allow us to run our heat and sound mat and our carpeting right over the panel and over where that that bracket would have been and not have to notch around it. One other thing, I'm probably going to get rid of these all thread coupling nuts because Jeff, I love you, but no. It's a lot of extra work. To me, I would just as soon, especially if we're running quick jacks, to just run the hardware that comes with it because quite honestly, you can get in through the 2 access covers here to get your hardware on from the inside for both the uppers and that access for this one. So both the uppers you can do, and then the lowers aren't a big deal. They can be accessed from the bottom. So I see absolutely no advantage to using those coupling nuts because you've got to buy all new hardware too. Now all the hardware you have is too short, so you're buying all new hardware for your quick jacks. And to me, it just makes no sense. For your average builder at home, you're going to put these on once. So to me, it's no harder to put them on with the hardware that comes with the Factory 5 kit and doing these coupling nuts. So, you know, build it as you please. But no, I have never completed a car with coupling nuts because it's just not my style. All right, it's a little later. I've probably been working on this an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And I dropped down the tank only on this one side. So I've got it sitting on the jack down here. So, you know, if you don't have a lift with the bridge jack, just go ahead and, you know, prop something up underneath your tank so that as you're fussing around with it, you've got something kind of to support its weight, especially if you're retrofitting this in a car that, you know, may have fuel in the tank. This one doesn't. It hasn't gotten that far to where there's any fuel in the tank, but if you are, make sure that you take all precautions in order to keep the tank from, you know, having issues and, you know, whatever. So what I brought you guys back for is to show you that, for instance, in this area where we had pop rivets running down this area, this is all going to be exposed now. So what we're going to do is everywhere where there's a hole for a pop rivet, we're going to put a pop rivet back in. In our case, we're going to put black pop rivets in these just so they kind of blend in. But you know, you can put silver ones in too. You know, a huge deal. Now, if it bothers you that much, you can actually cut out your trunk to this shape and have your aluminum cover this. I've just found, especially with a powder coated piece like the one that we've got here for the King's Cobra, that you know, we're going to carpet this anyways, and so having this all black is just probably going to match everything better. But so we're gonna put pop rivets in there to kind of conceal those. I did find that the fuel level sender was never hooked up. Now I know that the owner had not installed the gauge. What are they? The pigtails or whatever yet. And I think he was going to try to use the pre-terminated ends that. What is it? Speed Hut provides in their gauge package, but we're going to use this, and that's going to get us all the way to the front of the tank. And then we're going to do just a bit of tidying up. I'm not a fan of just, you know, leaving all this stuff just laying on top of the gas tank like that, unsupported. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to unjumble that, and we're going to strap everything up where it's out of the way. We're going to need it over on this side anyway for our drop trunk. But we're going to go ahead and take care of that. There's a couple other things that I saw, but, you know, I promised this car owner I was not going to, you know, take apart the entire car. And, you know, looking at the bones of this car, everything that I've seen so far has been well built. You know, there's just things that I would have done different. You know, if you watched the last video on the Type 65 Coupe, the pop rivets right here, you know, if you didn't understand what I meant by the ugly side of the pop rivet, that's the ugly side of the pop rivet right there. I would have ran these on in the other way, so the ugly side was in the cockpit and then they get covered up. I would have also done my panel overlap differently. I would have made sure that this tab was on the inside and that there was a nice clean line here on the outside facing the wheel well, because, you know, it's going to be exposed if, you know, someone looks in there while it's at a car show. So, you know, some things that I would just do different, but I made a promise to the owner that I wasn't going to take apart all of his work. Now, in some cases, if I find something that is going to be a safety or a reliability issue, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to fix it. But so far, you know, we're pretty well squared away on most of the bones of this car. So I don't see myself pulling a bunch of stuff apart. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take some of the stuff apart as far as the suspension, because I want to make sure that it was all lubricated as it was put together, and that we're going to be able to get grease to free flow into all of the bushings. But like I said, I'm not going to take this car back, you know, all the way down to the chassis. It just doesn't make sense. The owner put a lot of work into this with his family. I want to preserve as much of that as I possibly can. You can see I made myself a little bit of a kind of a stopgap measure as I was getting these panels out to not scratch the existing powder coat, because I don't know if these panels are going to get covered with carpeting or not. I know that we talked about carpeting and heat and sound mat on the floor of the trunk, but I don't know about the actual sides. You know, in the last Mark IV we didn't cover the sides. We just kind of did the floor and the panels that didn't have powder coating on them, all the way to the point of the access covers for the you know, the fuel here and the fuel over here. So I don't know, we're going to kind of play that by ear, see what happens, and we'll make a determination, you know, before we start putting everything back together for the final time, and then move forward from there. But I will say, it's fairly easy when you've used the silicone sealant that, you know, Factory 5 kind of prescribes in the build manual, which is like a 100% silicone, like the GE Silicone 2. That's the one I like to use in the little, you know, the little, single-use container, because they stay a lot longer than once you open an actual, you know, tube of them that's, you know, goes in your caulking gun. So this, as you can see, kind of just rolls off with your finger. And in my mind anyway, you know, I don't know what the design engineers at Factory 5, and at that time when they started these, it would have been, you know, Mark Smith and, you know, maybe one of the engineers that was there early on. But the silicone does two things. It provides a little bit of an adhesive, and then it is also somewhat of a sound deadener, so that if you don't cover your panels in heat and sound mat and carpet and all that, you get less tin canning of the sheet metal, the aluminum panels in the end by using the silicone sealant. So, you know, you can use whatever you want, because I got a question on that on another video recently. You know, he wanted to use some heavy duty adhesive that, you know, would last for years. Okay, well, if that's what you want to do, fine, go ahead, knock yourself out. But it's just been my experience that the silicone lasts, especially in the environment for these cars, because most of these cars are going to be garage kept. It'll last for the life of the car. And if you ever want to do an upgrade like this, like our drop box is a you know, it's a weekend upgrade if you want to do it on a Mark IV or even an earlier car. It makes it so much easier to get the panels off, because you can just run a putty knife in between the chassis and the panel and get the silicone to, you know, come apart. And then it's just a matter of rolling the silicone off the surface. When you go to reinstall the panel, put another bead of silicone on and, you know, pop over your panels in place. So, you know, yeah, you can use whatever you want. You can use panel bonding adhesive if you want, but, you know, long term, you might want to get some of these panels off at some point. And so, you know, how hard do you want to make it on yourself, or, God forbid, the next guy, who will probably be me. So let me continue working on this. I'm going to try to get that whole thing cleaned up tonight and get it ready to have the drop box installed, which I'll probably do tomorrow night. I'll probably fab it up and install it tomorrow night. And then the final night, probably the third night, I will put the aluminum back in, fabricate that piece, get it all cut out, put it back in, and then the drop box will be done. So I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. All right, it is the next evening, everybody. I'm out in the shop putting together that drop box for the Mark IV King Cobra, and I figured I'd stop and give you a little kind of assembly instruction for the drop box. Now, as you can see, all the pieces are already pre-cut, so this will fit around the frame members in the back of your car. So the notches are cut here, the notches are cut here and here. So really all you have to do is assemble it. And I've never included instructions with the drop boxes because they're so simple and so rudimentary. So just if you've got a question, you can obviously send us an email, but it's pretty easy. All of the corner pieces, and I'm just using the corner pieces that I wouldn't send to all of you because they weren't at the right angle or whatever, and so I was able to fine tune them. But what you want to do first, if you got some of these quick clamps, these vice grip clamps, use that to position your corner pieces, and they're going to go all the way to the bottom, and that's so that you have enough room here at the top where this is going to fasten to the frame or the chassis, that the corner piece doesn't interfere with that. So this goes all the way to the bottom, and then I drilled the top hole and the bottom hole with the clamp in place. Now that I've got a couple Clecos in there, I can pull the clamp loose, and now I can drill this last center hole. Now I'm going to put all of the pieces on the main box first, so that when I get ready to put the sides in, they simply just fit in place. So you can do it either way. You can attach them to the side pieces first and then affix that all to the main body of the drop box, or you can do it the other way around. It doesn't matter. Just make sure that you leave enough room in the corner for the piece to slide in through the bottom, or because this lip right here is the bottom. So it adds support to the bottom of the box when it's in place. So let me go ahead. I'm going to get this all knocked out, get it all and silicone and rivets, just like the rest of your Factory 5 kit. I'm going to get it all put together, and then I'll show you how this can go in place if you're retrofitting your car. All assembled using some Clecos to hold it in place. I'm going to go ahead and pull it all back apart, and I'm going to show you how to get the shell of this in place so that you can retrofit this in your existing car. So if you have a Mark IV or Mark I through 3, we can make you one of these. You can put it together, meaning you'll have to put all the corner braces onto the box while the main body of the box is in the car. What I'm about to show you is only going to work if you are mid-build on your Mark IV. It will not work if the body is on the car. If the body is on the car, what you're going to have to do is cut out the aluminum in the trunk first, drop the tank, and install the drop trunk from the bottom. But if you're mid-build, let's say you're in the middle of your build and you didn't know about the drop trunk and now you want to do it, but you haven't put the body on the car yet, this is the way you're going to do it. All right, so you're going to take the drop box, you're going to bring it in here, and you're going to maneuver around the crossbar that's right here. And remember, your tank is in the way, but you can bend this panel pretty far and it will spring back. So then once you get it about to this point, it'll start moving into place where you need it. Remember, you're not going to have access from the bottom when you're doing this. So the only place you'll be able to reach your hands in is through here because you'll have this trunk aluminum off. Now, once you get it to this point, make sure you've already pre-drilled all your corner holes for your corner braces, and that's one of the reasons that we don't have this corner brace go all the way up to the top, so that this metal will come all the way against this 3/4 inch tube and hold everything in securely. Now you're going to want to make sure that any wiring that you've previously run in any of these areas where the aluminum is going to go right against the metal chassis, all of that wire is going to have to move. So we've got a couple of straps here, 1, 2, those are going to have to come off. This one over here is going to have to come off, and that wiring is going to have to be relocated. All right, here the box is all assembled. It's ready to be put in the car. I'm going to wait until tomorrow to do that because I've already started drinking tonight. And we should be able to finish it up tomorrow night, meaning I ought to be able to get the box in, and I ought to be able to get the trunk, the lower trunk aluminum, cut out and back in place. It may not all be pop riveted back in, but it'll be pretty close. And then I've got to get the gas tank back in. So if you guys want to know what went on with the gas tank, you can put that down in the comments, and maybe the owner of the car will comment on it. But I think we have it taken care of. So the gas tank is going back in. So that's it for tonight. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. Now you're going to want to see, once you've got the box in place with some clamps, where you're going to be able to get your pop rivet to fit. So make sure that your gun's going to fit in the area where you drill the hole. So now I know I'm not going to be able to get my pop rivet gun any farther into that corner than right about there. So I'm going to take a marker and I'm going to mark it right there. And now I know from that point towards the corner, I won't be able to get any more rivets in. So we're going to just rely on silicone adhesive and everywhere past that rivet right there. Then you're going to do the same thing over in these areas in the front too. So right here, you're not going to be able to get your rivet gun any farther in than about there. And right here, right about where the clamp is where the rivet gun fits and nowhere past. So you're probably going to get 1, 2, 3 rivets in here and probably about the same over here. The nice thing about this angled bracket here is you don't need any rivets going into the side. These are going to attach from the top because this flange is bent over. So all the pop rivets here will be going in from the top. All right, drop box is all in. I'm going to spend the rest of the afternoon getting all of my tools and all of this trash kind of picked up. It's a messy job, you know. If you're retrofitting it, even if you're retrofitting it at this stage of the build, you've got to drill out all the pop rivets, and you get the pop rivet metal chips and all that kind of everywhere, and the little heads of the rivets get stuck on the drill bits. You got to clean those off, so it makes quite a mess. And I've got a couple of clamps in here in the areas where I couldn't get pop rivets, so I want to go ahead and let those kind of set up because I've got some 100% silicone in between the panel and the chassis. And you can see I wasn't real careful about putting the silicone in between here because I want, in this case, I want the silicone to really be a good adhesive for this. So, so I'm not upset that some of it kind of squeezed out. We'll clean that up after we get everything to set up, and then we'll go ahead. We'll remount all of the trunk aluminum in here, and then the gas tank will go back in. We'll get, in this case, we've only got the sending unit for the fuel level gauge to get hooked up because we've got a mechanical fuel pump in the car. So that wiring will just kind of get rolled up neatly just in case the owner ever decides to jump ship and go fuel injection. All of that stuff will be here, and we'll get all of the wiring strapped up underneath the car so it's nice and neat. Next day, and I am working on getting the original aluminum for the trunk floor bottom back in place so that I can scribe it or mark it for the cutout. Now, there's a number of ways that you can finish off this front edge. You can actually just cut it right across here, and the trunk will just drop down into the drop box. The way I normally do it, and I have a reason for it, is that I leave about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of material here to create a small shelf. Now, for me, what that does is it just makes it easier for me to carpet. Because I can actually bring the carpet down, and then it'll wrap around and under, and then I've got a nice place to finish off the front part of the drop box with some carpeting. You can do the same thing and just make that carpet come all the way down, basically, and bottom out in the drop box. But your cuts have to be a little bit more critical. There's no margin for error, where if I'm just a little bit short, when I wrap it around, you'll never see the underside of it. I'm giving away all my secrets, but that's the way I do it. And if you're going to fabricate some type of piano hinge where you make a cover and it kind of comes up, it gives you a nice place to attach a hinge here, and you'll have a piano hinge in the center, so it basically folds up as it goes back, because it won't, the whole piece can't just fold up, because you'll actually hit the sides of the body once it's in place. So that's what I'm going to do now. I've got it in place, and Factory 5 is nice enough to leave us this nice hole here where the sending unit would normally be accessed through, and it allows you to get your hand in here with a marker or Sharpie from the bottom side. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to mark that out, I'm going to cut it out, and then I'll bring you all back once I'm ready to kind of fasten in place for the final time. So here's where we're at. We got the stock lower trunk aluminum in. You can see that I've got all the holes drilled for the pop rivets. I've got clecos in place, every other hole on this side, but on the front we're putting a cleco in every hole. Basically, what you're going to do is start from one corner or the other where there's the least amount of flex as you're drilling the hole, because this back panel of the drop box is going to want to push out as you're drilling it. So once you get that first one in, put a cleco in, drill the next hole, put a cleco in, and so on all the way down the line. Now, I do have a video here on YouTube, and I think it's over on the Rumble channel too, about silicone. It's a very short video. I think it's about 3 minutes long, where I talk about the tech screw. I'll get it out. I talk about the tech screw trick, and what I do is I get a number 8 tech screw, probably about 1 inch long. Those things are really great because they'll suck the panel tight, and you can do the same thing if you don't want to drill in cleco, or you don't have clecos. You can use self-drilling screws across the back to get everything drilled and kind of held in place, so that when you go back to pop rivet it, you can pull one screw out at a time, replace it with a pop rivet, and then you're done. Now, we're going to go ahead, we're going to pull this out one more time. We're going to clean everything up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to strap some of the wiring that goes in the trunk area underneath the aluminum. I'm going to get that all strapped to the underside of the chassis before I put this panel back in. And then we'll put this in for the final time. You can see I'm getting low on my silicone. I've just got the littlest bit left, but it should be enough to get this panel put back in, and then this project will be done. I'm calling this project done. So if you're buying one of our drop boxes, just know the hole for your sending unit access cover will already be cut. You'll just have to drill a couple of holes so that you can get your Factory 5 supplied cover to go on. The one thing that I found on this one, and you know, I really pride myself on making these products so they simply drop in the car, basically. Everything's cut out, ready for you to just bolt in, or in this case, rivet in the car. I'm really upset with Factory 5 that they can't even get the cross braces welded in the car the same way every time. I mean, they're welding these things in a jig. Now, I'm sure they're welding in the bars in the foot box in the same location because they've got one of their supplied Willwood pedal boxes in most cases going in there. I just wish they'd have a little bit higher tolerances when it came to welding a lot of the other stuff in the car. So what you may find is that you're going to have to do a little bit of trimming right here, which I had to do here. I had to make this bigger because, you know, normally this cut is perfect and this bar is farther back, but it was not in this case. And I had to widen the cutout here in the back for this. There always is a little bit of massaging in this back corner to get the back corner of the box to fit. So you're going to probably find that you have to do a little bit of trimming back here in order to get everything to sit flush. But like I said, I pride myself on making the boxes the same exact way every time. And it's just a little upsetting when I go to install one of these in the car and I found, you know, some differences back here and over here. So, you know, I guess this is a lesson to me that the tolerances that, you know, I hold myself to, maybe I should broaden a little bit just so that you guys have an easier time putting these in the car. But, you know, I don't like big gaps at every location. It just, you know, it just looks lazy, and I'm not lazy. So that's it. The box is in. I hope this serves as a little bit of a tutorial for those of you that want to either retrofit these in your car, or whether you're ordering one of these from us from the beginning of your build and putting it in at that point. Now, you know, I showed you how we, you know, stick our arm through the handy access cover that Factory 5 provides in the bottom of the sheet metal, so you can kind of trace out where the cut is going to have to be for the entire box. And now you can see this lip that I leave in the back. So like I said, the carpet will come down, it'll wrap around this and wrap under, and everything will be really nice when we're all done. All right, here's the last thing. You can see where we cut the upper mount off for the 94 and later gas tank strap. So now the carpet, when it goes in, will just be able to wrap right over this. The only things we'll have to cut around here are the actual lower strap mounts for the gas tank strap. But other than that, this project is done. So if you guys are enjoying the content here, as always, please do the like, the share, the subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.